Yeah, I love the big fellowships, the Thursday night fellowship, the Tuesday night fellowship, and all of those, and John's Sunday fellowships. But I particularly enjoy these smaller, more intimate fellowships because we can just relax, and we can have a lot of interaction, and I love them. And many of you maybe are aware. I know Tom is, and Marcy, but we do a fellowship on Wednesday nights. It's every other Wednesday. It's not every Wednesday. I mean, that could change. So it's a little harder to keep track of the calendar, the schedule. It's not this coming Wednesday. Is that right? No, it is this coming Wednesday. Yeah, this coming Wednesday. Even I get confused sometimes. And we go methodically. We went through the book of Acts one chapter at a time. Right now we're going through the Gospel of Luke. So everybody, for 2 weeks, everyone that comes to that fellowship reads the particular chapter. And you're reading with a purpose in mind. And that purpose is you're going to come to that fellowship and talk. So you're looking, and it's really amazing what comes up, what people see. Because when you read with a purpose, when you internalize what you're reading, you ask, it's like, wow, I wonder why it says this. And so it causes you to search and to think about that. Or I wonder why this is happening, or I wonder what happened here. You're just asking questions of yourself. You're asking who, what, where, when, why, and how. And you want to ask those questions when you read the scriptures, because then you go, okay, I need to answer that question, right? Who, what, where, when, why, how. So you're reading with a purpose, and then everyone comes to the fellowship, and we just talk about that. There's no teaching. We just talk about that chapter. And it's absolutely fantastic. It's very relaxed. It's a lot of fun. Michelle comes all the time. And you're all welcome. Everybody is. And it's at this same Zoom code right here. And it's at 7:30 Eastern Standard Time. And we go for an hour, hour and a half, however long you guys want to stick around. It's really a sweet time. So you're all welcome to come to that. But Doug prayed a few minutes ago about, the condition of the world right now. And of course, it's been this way for a long time, but it just seems so pronounced. There's a lot of evil stuff going on, and wickedness and nastiness all across the board, on the internet, in our politics, on TV, out in society. Even people in a grocery store. I mean, they just seem so irritated, so on edge, so rude, and it's quite stark. It's quite shocking in a way. And I thought about how people are really in a lot of fear. They have a lot of fear in their lives, whether that's fear of finances. You look at this room, most of us, except for Richard and Lenny and maybe Donna, but we're all older. We're in an older portion of our lives, and it's easy to be afraid of your future finances. That's an easy thing to happen. So, the adversary plays on that. They're going to take away Social Security, or the stock market's going to crash, and all this. And that can become a point of, of fear. Same with politics, same with our liberty and our freedom. There's a lot of attack towards people in general, and especially Christians, because the adversary would like to shut us up. He doesn't want us talking. And I thought about a record. I shared this record maybe a couple of years ago, and wanted to share it with you again, because it's a really important record in the Gospel of John. It's chapter 7. And this is the Feast of Tabernacles, a very important feast to the Jewish people. and starts out in verse 1, which is really the ending of chapter 6. I mean, because it starts out after these things. Well, what things? Well, you'd have to go back to chapter 6 to figure those out, but that's okay. After these things, Jesus walked in Galilee, for he would not walk in Judea because the Jews were seeking to kill him. And we're in verse 1, right? So he didn't, well, that's prudent. That's wise. He's not walking around Judea right now because the Jews are actively looking for him to kill him. Now, the feast of the Jews, the Feast of Tabernacles, was near. Therefore, his brothers said to him, and this is his blood brothers, his relatives. His brothers said to him, hey, leave here and go down to Judea. Go to Judea so that your disciples also could see the works that you're doing. It sounds nice on the surface, but it wasn't. It was pretentious. Let's look at verse 4. Then it says, for no one does, this is them talking still, no one does anything in secret when he is seeking to be known publicly or openly. Jesus, you want to be known openly. You want to be known publicly. What are you up here in Galilee then doing stuff in secret for? Go down to Judea where everybody can see you. Since you're doing these things, show yourself to the world. For not even his brothers believed in him. They were not sincere with this statement whatsoever. Verse 6, therefore Jesus says to them, my right time has not come yet. But your right time is always here. Yeah, it's always good for you guys. You push everybody else to do stuff, but it's not, you're not thinking about, they weren't thinking truthfully and rightfully. It wasn't Jesus's right time. It wasn't his time yet. But it's always good for those guys, right? Verse 7, the world is not able to hate you, but it hates me because I testify about it, that its works are evil. Jesus knew that. I mean, he knew that the world hated him. But why did it hate him? Because of what he taught, because of what he said, because he spoke truth, because he testified about the world, that it is evil. Today's no different. You testify. Every time you open your mouth, every time you speak the word, every time you speak of Christ, you're testifying that the world is evil and the world hates you for it. They hate you for it. So what are we supposed to do? We live in a world that hates us. What are we supposed to do? It hates Jesus. Therefore, it hates us. So Jesus says, you guys go up to the feast. You guys go. And here's an interesting thing to note. They're up in Galilee, right? Jesus with his brothers right now, they're up in Galilee. That's in the northern part of Israel. But here he tells them, you go up to the feast. Well, the feast is in Jerusalem, which is, several miles south of Galilee. So why does it say go up to, this is one of those things where your mind should ask a question. Why does it say go up? He's going south. He's going south to Jerusalem. Why is it going up? It's because of elevation. They didn't talk the same way that we talk. They're going up because Jerusalem was higher in elevation than Galilee. So they're going up to Jerusalem. And it's cool stuff to think about. I'm not going up to this feast because my time is not yet fully come. And having said these things to them, he remained in Galilee. But when his brothers had gone up to the feast, verse 10, then he also went up, but not openly, but in secret. And I wonder what that was. I wonder what that looked like. John doesn't have any commentary on that, but maybe, he wore a cloak and a hood. Somehow he kept himself from being revealed when he finally goes to Jerusalem to the feast. He's not out there in the open. And of course, it would be easy for him to disguise himself or hide himself, because there's, over 500,000 people there at the temple itself. I mean, Jerusalem is flooded with people coming to the feast. So he can move around in the feast and not be noticed, fairly easily. So he's there finally in Jerusalem. Verse 11. Now the Jews were seeking for him at the feast and kept saying, "Where is he?" I mean, they figured that Jesus would probably come down for the Feast of Tabernacles. I mean, he was supposed to. So they figured, well, if we watch for him, we might find him and we're going to kill him. They were seeking for him at the feast, and they kept saying, "Where is he?" And there was much secret discussion among the multitudes concerning him. This is really a unique phrase, this much secret discussion. It refers to an utterance that's made in a very low, soft voice. So King James, I think, uses the word murmuring. They were murmuring about him. I think that's what King James says. But murmuring, it brings with it a negative connotation. The murmuring and disputing. Murmuring meaning that, you're not happy with things and blah, 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 right? That's not this. This is they were afraid, and they didn't want to talk loud about him. We can't say it really loud because people are listening. They're whispering, and they're just afraid. And here's the Jews in all of their royal garb, all of their beautiful robes and their phylacteries and everything. And they're walking around. Anybody seen Jesus? Where is he? We want to talk to him. It's be like today. I mean, if you walked into your city and all of a sudden it's loaded up with, federal police and armed guards and people that have authority, and they're all saying, "Where, anybody seen Richard? Where's Richard at? We need to talk to Richard." And Richard. It's like, oh, that's what this scene was like. And it's interesting. Proverbs, you can hold your finger here. Look at Proverbs chapter 28. Because people do this in every walk of life. I mean, when pressure is on and fear is building, people retreat within themselves, and we can't talk really loud. Wait till don't talk about that here. Wait till we get home. People do that. Proverbs 28, verse 12. When the righteous rejoice, there's great honor. But when the wicked rise up, people hide. And that's really true. When the wicked people rise up in power and authority, and they feel like they have the upper hand now, and they're going to start putting pressure on, people hide. They retreat within themselves. Look at verse 28. When the wicked rise up, people hide themselves. But when they perish, meaning the wicked, when they perish or go away, the righteous increase. And not that that's the way it's supposed to be. That's just the way it usually happens, right? And that is. Let's go back to John chapter 7. We're in verse 12. Some said, he's a good guy. That Jesus guy, he's really a good guy. He takes care of people at their wedding, makes sure they have plenty of wine, heals people, loves everybody. He's a good guy. Others said, no, on the contrary, he leads the multitude astray. He's leading them away from the ways of the Pharisees and the Sadducees. No, he's not good. In fact, he's a religious fanatic. He's an extremist. Right. That's what they say about us too. We're religious fanatics. We actually believe the Bible. We actually believe it. It's not just a really good historical book. We really believe it. Think about that. and we want to apply it in our lives as if it's authoritative. Really? It's the authority? Yeah, it's the authority in life. And we really believe that. You're a fanatic. Well, I am a fan of the Bible. You're a fan of the Bible too, so I am a fanatic. Call me that. I don't care. It doesn't hurt my feelings. Am I a religious extremist? I'm not even sure what that means. I extremely love the Lord Jesus Christ. Does that make me a religious extremist? Maybe so. If it does, you can call me that. It doesn't hurt me. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me, right? Learned that as a little kid. So, some saying, hey, he's a really good guy. Others, on the contrary, nope, he is bad for society. He leads people astray. It's going to be bad for everybody. Verse 13, yet no one was speaking publicly about him for fear of the Jews. God has called us to speak and to be bold. We hear about that all the time. We hear the word bold in manifestations, in prophecies. Be bold, children. Be bold. Do we really understand what boldness means? I used to think it had a lot to do with the volume of one's voice or the intensity in one's face, right? That's bold. That's not what bold is. That's not what boldness is. This word speaking publicly, yet no one was speaking publicly. It's the same word that's translated bold or boldness. It means to be frank. It means to be open. It has confidence within its understanding, but it's freedom of speech, openness. You're free to speak. You do not feel like there's anything holding you back. That's boldness. You are free to speak, and you speak with confidence and openly, frank. That's boldness. When no one was speaking openly, nobody was bold here. No one was frank. But why? Because they feared the Jews. Fear is the great enemy of boldness. Fear is what causes a person to shrink back and not be bold, not be open, but secretly discuss things. It's fear that keeps people from being bold. And we need to be bold, especially right now, like Doug prayed. It's ugly out there. It gets uglier every day. And we need to be frank and open and bold about the Lord Jesus Christ and about God and what God has done in our lives, in your life. I heard one person say, that they couldn't witness to people. They couldn't just go up and start talking about Jesus. Couldn't do that and just couldn't. Why not? Why not? Well, and the root cause would be fear, but and God has called us to be that bold, that, hey, do you believe in Jesus Christ as the Messiah? And if they say no, you just, why not? Why not? But be honest. And anyway, we'll go back to the record in John chapter 7, verse 14. Now, about the middle of the feast, Jesus went up into the temple. Now he's going to start going to work, right? Jesus has been surveying the situation. Now he's there in disguise or under a cloak or however he went in secret, and probably sizing everything up, checking things out. People are speaking secretly. Jews are running around trying to find him to kill him. And it's about the middle of the feast. Jesus goes up into the temple and he begins to teach. Now, this isn't in secret. This is right out in front of everybody, right? This is at the temple. There's oodles and oodles of people standing around. Therefore, the Jews were amazed, saying, how does this man have such learning? He hasn't gone to college. He's not educated. He's not a smarty pants. How does this guy know all this stuff? And isn't that the attitude of the elite? The elite always look down their nose to everyone else. They always do. Look down. How can you know so much? Missy, how can you possibly know so much about the Bible? You didn't go to a theological seminary. You didn't go to Harvard. Maybe you did, but but they always look down. And even if you did go to Harvard, you didn't take the right classes. You didn't take the right classes to sit with the right professors, and you don't live in the right state. Nobody who comes from Tucson, Arizona, they look down their nose. I live in flyover country. So does Doug and Sandy. We live in what does that mean? Tulsa, Oklahoma, you're in flyover country. Because if you don't live on the East Coast or the West Coast, you're just one of the plebes. Make sure you send your taxes in, because you're just a plebe. Same with Texas. What comes out of Texas? So Tallahassee, Florida. Oh, you're probably one of those NASCAR guys, Tim. One of those NASCAR guys down there in Tallahassee. They look down their nose at us, right? We cling to our guns, God, and our Bibles. Anyway, that's what they were doing to Jesus too. He's just a plebe. He's not a serious fat. He doesn't have, look at my robes. And look, I've got this big phylactery. I've got a huge phylactery. Right? Therefore, Jesus answered them and said, my teaching is not my own, but his that sent me. Is this bold? Is this open? Heck yeah, this is right out there. He's not being belligerent either, but he is confronting the evil. But he's not doing it belligerently, because really Jesus wanted to reach these guys too. He wanted these guys to believe. He wanted these guys to accept him as their Messiah. Therefore, he answered, my teaching is not my own, but it's his that sent me. If anyone is willing to keep doing his will, he will come to know about the teaching, whether it is from God or of God, or if I'm speaking on my own. If you're willing to keep doing God's will, you'll know if a teaching is right or wrong. It manifests itself. It becomes obvious. The one who speaks from himself is speaking his own glory, but the one who is seeking the glory of the one who sent him, he is true, and no unrighteousness is in him. Did not Moses give you the law? And yet not one of you is keeping the law. If you are, then why are you seeking to kill me? I love it because his arguments are foolproof. The multitude answered, you're crazy. You have a demon. You're possessed. You're nuts. Who's seeking to kill you? Well, they were, but not the whole multitude, but the elders, the leadership of the Jews was. Jesus answered and said to them, I did one work. I healed one guy. I did one work, and you were all amazed because of it. Moses has given you circumcision. Not that it is of Moses, but of the fathers, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob. And on the Sabbath, you circumcise a man. I healed a guy on the Sabbath, and everybody was all confounded, amazed, and upset and mad. Yet Moses gave you circumcision, and on the Sabbath, you circumcise a man. If a man receives circumcision on the Sabbath, so that the law of Moses is not broken, are you enraged with me because I made a man completely whole on the Sabbath? And he was really pinpointing it to them, because you're not supposed to work on the Sabbath. Was performing a circumcision work? Most certainly. Yet the law commanded them to do the circumcision on the 8th day. Well, if the 8th day was the Sabbath, They had to circumcise. So if they don't circumcise, they're breaking the law. If they circumcise, they're breaking their own law of you can't do anything on the Sabbath. Jesus really nails them. I love that. And they're all, well, they were seeking a reason to arrest and to kill Jesus and to, point fingers at him and say that he's a sinner. He healed somebody on the Sabbath. He did work. Oh my! Again, looking down their nose and forgetting about their own problems. I think about the one record where Jesus said, take the beam out of your own eye because you can't see. Take the beam out of your own eye, and then you can help take the splinter out of your brother or sister's eye. But they couldn't see properly because they had a beam in their own eye. They're not going to look at their own faults. But they're sure ready to kill Jesus. Stop judging by the outward appearance. Instead, judge with a righteous judgment. We don't see that much today. Therefore, some of them from Jerusalem said, "Is this not he whom they are seeking to kill? Isn't this the guy that the Jews or the elders, the Pharisees are looking to kill? Isn't this him? And look, he is speaking publicly. He is speaking openly, boldly, no fear." It's the same word that was used up there in verse 13, that they were not speaking publicly for fear of the Jews. Jesus didn't fear the Jews. Look, he's speaking publicly, frankly, openly, boldly, honestly, truthfully. And they are saying nothing to him. Can it be that the rulers really know that this is the Christ? But we know where this man is from. We know he comes from Nazareth. He's up north. Yet when the Christ comes, no one will know where he's from. They're confused. These people are really trying to figure it out, or kind of trying to figure it out, but they're confused. He comes from Nazareth, from the Galilee area. Nothing good comes out of Galilee. Everybody knows that. And when the Christ does come, he's going to be doing a lot more than this guy's doing. So could he be the Christ? So Jesus cried out while teaching in the temple, saying, "You both know me and know where I'm from. And I have not come on my own." And where I am from, he's not talking about his geographical birthplace. He's talking about the one who sent him. And you have to be careful here. The concept of being sent by God, the Trinitarians use that to prove that, he coexisted with God and he was part of God and co-equal with God and all that. And then when the time was right, God the Father told God the Son, "Okay, you need to go. I'm going to send you down to earth to do this." That it has nothing to do with that. It's like when the king of a kingdom sends his son or his legate or his ambassador to another king or to another land to represent him. That's the sent. You know that. I know you understand that, but that's what this he says, "You know me and you know where I'm from, and I've not come on my own, but he who sent me is true, whom you do not know. I know him because I am from him, and he sent me." Therefore, they were seeking to seize him, but no one laid his hands on him because his hour had not yet come. But many of the multitude believed in him, and they said, "When the Christ comes, he will do more signs than those that this man has done." It's interesting. I wish I understood that verse a little bit more. I'm not really exactly sure what's being said there. Then the Pharisees heard the multitude again secretly discussing these things about him. And the chief priests and the Pharisees sent the temple police to take him. Here come the what do they call those? I think of the slapstick comedy. Who are the cops? What was their names?
Keystone Cops.
Yes, here come the Keystone Cops, right? Bumbling and fumbling over themselves. They're going to send the temple police in. Ooh. But it is a scary situation because they had authority to put the hurts on people. So Jesus said, I'm with you a little while longer, and then I'm going to go to the one who sent me. You will seek me, and you won't find me. And where I am, you are not able to come. And this just really fries their brain cells because they can't understand this. Therefore, the Jews said among themselves, where will this guy go that we won't find him? Where's he going to go that we can't find him? Will he go to the dispersion among the Greeks and teach the Greeks? We can find him there. What is this word that he said? You will seek me and you won't find me. And where I am, you're not able to come. I love it. And Jesus just being very open, honest, and bold about the truth in the situation. And he's that way throughout his whole life, throughout his whole ministry. And that's the way we need to be also. Bold about the Lord Jesus. Bold about God. Bold about the Bible. Honest and open. Why? Well, first and foremost, because we want to help people. We want to help them. We want them to get saved. We want them to come to a knowledge of the truth, a full knowledge, just like we're seeking to do. And secondly, we're ambassadors. We're Christ's ambassadors. God sent us, just like he sent Jesus. He sent us to be his representatives, to represent him on earth. And with that representing, we push the adversary back. Times are not going to get better. Times will get darker. There'll be more pressure. I remember a teaching that John Schoenheit did several years ago, titled Rough Weather Ahead. It's not going to get prettier. It will get uglier. And when it gets uglier, we need to be bold. And if we practice being bold now, we'll be bold then. We won't be just secretly discussing. Now, I love this record, and there's a lot of other places in the Gospel of John that you can go to and see the same type of thing, that fear is the enemy of boldness. So do not fear. And we hear God say that over and over and over to us. And why does he have to repeat himself? Do not fear, because the temptation is to be afraid of the things that we see. And we don't need to be, because there is a day coming when we will look upon the one that has caused all this fear and will say, this is what shook the nations. This is what caused everybody to fear. Are you kidding me? That day is coming. So bless you guys.